So hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. Let me start with introducing myself. My name is Haya Aliafi. I'm a proud Koreacher. I'm the concept illustrator, or also known as the graphic designer in Koreach. All right, let me tell you a bit about us. We're the first coaching firm and platform in Saudi Arabia, a group of passionate advocates for bringing the human elements back to work. We thrive by enabling the we culture in organizations through providing a different approach to thinking, communicating, working, and living. Believing in the power of teams and psychological safety, we let go of the hierarchical system and turned Koreach into a teal organization, becoming the first company to implement a lawcracy management system in Saudi Arabia. Every year during the holy month of Ramadan, we give back to our community by offering daily talks and workshops that embrace different values. We call it Zakat al-Ilm, which means the charity of knowledge. We decided that our theme for this year is humanity, because with all that is happening in the world, something about the pandemic brought us back to our roots of humanity. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you so much, Dr. Martin, for being with us tonight. Before we start with our amazing talk, I would love to introduce Martin. So he's an executive coach living in Saudi Arabia since 2012. He's originally from Innsbruck, Austria, and he holds a PhD in life sciences and a master in knowledge management. He firmly believes that our world deserves better leaders and that coaching contributes in co-creating a better future for all of us. Besides coaching, he loves being with his family, hiking, and reading. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the Q&A box. And if you have any reflection, please feel free to share in the chat and tell us more about yourself. And if you have any technical issues, please contact our awesome tech support, Leila. And Martin, the space is all yours.
Thank you very much, Haya. Ahlan wa sahlan, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you and to talk and to be part of this Koreach initiative and to be together with these really great people from Koreach and all of you. And to explore a little bit into the future. And I'm just trying to share my monitor. Yes, it works. To go into the topic and to discuss with you a little bit uncertainty and how we can create our future together out of uncertainty. I mean, even this what we're doing now is based on uncertainty. I don't know really who I'm talking to at the moment. I cannot see you. I'm not sure if there are 2 people or 100 people. Whoever, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, masal khair. I'm very pleased to be with you and to share the next 90 minutes with you and to co-create the next 90 minutes as part of our future. Future is always based on uncertainty. We don't know really what's going on around us, and we always have limited information. And based on these limited information, we have to create our future and our next steps. And this is the topic of our session today. We have 90 minutes. And I also would like to create this quite interactive. So I have some input slides. I show you some things about uncertainty, about creating a future with a focus on resilience. So how can we become more resilient? What could be the role of a coach to become more resilient? And what is resilience? So we will work on this together, and every few slides, I will have a few questions. And so I will give you 1-2 minutes to think about these questions, and please give me feedback in the Q&A box. And Haya will read some of these answers, and I try to make this a little bit more interactive. So I cannot hear you, but at least I get some of your questions, some of your answers, and let's work on this and have a good time together for the next 90 minutes. So how to create your future in times of uncertainty, and what is the role of coaching? And also, as you can see in the middle of the slide, I like this quote very much. A good coach will make people see what they can be rather than what they are. So our job as coaches is to help people to see the future and then to work on their own future. I'm Austrian, Ana Nimsawi, and therefore I have to quote an Austrian management guru. This is Peter Drucker. He was one of the thinkers of the early days of management. And I like this quote very much. So the best way to predict the future is to create it. So our part here is, how can we create our future? How can we co-create our future together? And just to get this co-creation started, so what are your thoughts on this quote? So do you think it's right? Is this the way we work? Can we predict the future? Can we create the future? I would be happy to get some feedback from your side here. Please feel free to answer and give some thoughts.
Okay, so if anyone wants to share, please feel free to share in the chat box.
Yes, please. And Taya, you read it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
So Neda said yes. Kusai said it's true.
Okay.
Salman, I predict the future in desert hikes.
Hello, Salman. Happy to hear you. So let's have fun together, Salman, and all the others. Thank you very much for this first feedback. That's a warming up, so we will get deeper and deeper in the whole process. So what I want to talk about in this process is, so how do we get from now into the future? We are in the now always, but we work on, in all self-development and everything we do, how to get from here into the then, into the future. And in this session today, in this webinar today, I want to explore a little bit these different fields. I mean, we are living in times of uncertainty, especially now. It's becoming more and more clearer for us that we don't really know what's going on. So uncertainty is part of future creation. How can we build resilience out of uncertainty? So how can we be stronger prepared for the future? How can we create a purpose for ourselves and maybe for humanity? How can we serve? Will we be a coach? Will we be a leader? So what is our identity in the future? And how can we be part of humanity and serve humanity in the future? So it's about being who we are, and it's about doing what can we contribute. And by being and doing, create the future we want to create and be part of this future. So this is what I would like to explore with you in the next 90 minutes. But I would like to start with the elephant in the room. So big part of coaching is, so what is the elephant in the room? What is here we maybe don't talk about and should talk about. I will show you my elephant in the room, why we are here all together, and one of the reasons we do what we do. But before I go there, I would like to hear, what is your elephant in the room? So what is your elephant in the moment? Please give me some insights from your side, please. Salman, especially.
All right, so Neda says, my limiting self-beliefs.
Limiting self-beliefs, okay. Mm-hmm. Something else?
Wanting to do a lot of things.
Okay, a lot of things.
My assumptions. I'm being far too lazy and haven't accomplished any of my set goals in these times. That's Salman. Rather too much to accomplish and little time available in the day.
Too much, too little, okay.
Kusai, discipline.
Discipline.
Reaching out to the masses.
Okay.
Procrastinating.
Procrastination.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So these are some of the elephants in the room for you. So too much to do, too little time. How can I discipline myself? A lot of things to do, but I procrastinate and other things. And we will come to this maybe in the middle part of our section. In this part of this talk, I want to talk a little bit about what I see as the elephant in the room at the moment for most of us. And this is this guy, not Mr. Spock. So Mr. Spock is just naming it. So we have a problem. And the problem is at the moment COVID-19. We have a big issue here and we don't really know how to handle it. We try to handle and try to give our best, but of course this is scary. And one of the important things of a leader is to admit we have a problem. Now what can we do? And we're in the middle of a pandemic. This corona pandemic is one of the biggest ones in the recent years. And maybe 1957, there was a little bit bigger one with the Hong Kong flu, but otherwise, since 1918, nothing similar happened. There was SARS, there was MERS, but this is a scary thing. People getting ill, people are dying, everything stands still. So you see the airplanes here. I cannot fly home to my family in Austria, so I'm sitting with you now in Saudi Arabia. People get tested, people are hoarding. There's a lot of uncertainty and insecurity. And of course, how do we deal with the situation? How long will it take? And what is coming next? These are a lot of questions we don't know. And before I go into the next step, so how can we prepare ourselves to get resilient here, to get out of this, maybe positively? I just would like to ask you two questions. So how do you deal with this uncertainty at the moment? What is your biggest challenge with this at the moment? Any inputs, Haya?
Not yet. I think they're typing down. All right, because I said work on my values.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sarah, staying calm. Adil, trying to make the best out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Rola, stay safe, keep my family safe.
Stay safe, yeah.
Finding a job.
Mm-hmm.
Holding polarities. Take it one day at a time. Being safe. Shifting to online relationships. Focus on the positive end.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware. Breathing.
Breathing, yes, very important.
Connecting.
Don't stop breathing. Never.
Find my center and realign.
Realign, okay. Thank you very much. So breathing, staying calm, staying safe, finding my values, think about a good job, finding a good job, one day at a time. That's a good strategy to develop ourselves for what is coming and to get in the future. There are different ways to deal with this. I mean, one way is pictured here, Mr. Dilbert. So our disaster recovery plan goes something like this. So we got crazy, we freak out, we got panicking. So sometimes this is happening. And for some people, this is happening. And this is maybe not the way it should be. So this is one strategy to deal with uncertainty. But I think there are better ways to deal with uncertainty. And so I like the second option much better. So I don't believe in no-win scenarios. So whatever happens, there will be a solution. Whatever happens, we find a way out of this. Day by day, by breathing, staying calm, we find a way out of this. So we have here maybe two examples of leaders. The leader on the left side is Mr. Dilbert. The leader on the right side is James T. Kirk. What do you think is the difference between these two kind of leaders, Mr. Salman and all the others? Where do you see the main difference between these two guys?
Okay, someone said confidence.
Confidence, okay.
Being positive.
Mm-hmm.
The second has limitless options.
Mm-hmm.
The Dilbert is realistic. The response to the uncertainty of things.
Mm-hmm.
Reactive and proactive.
Proactive, okay.
Ability to foresee behind the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Dilbert is being reactive, optimistic, optimism versus pessimism.
Wonderful. Sounds very good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for this feedback. Yeah, confidence, being proactive, analyzing the situation, seeing the options, being realistic. These are signs of strong leaders. And I would like to go with you a little bit now in signs of strong leaders and what makes a difference here. And for example, one, I think, big difference in being on the right side, being Mr. Kirk, is our leadership style and our ability to create our future is based on our level of resilience. So how resilient we are. And what is resilience? So resilience is the capacity of a dynamic system. The dynamic system could be a human being, it could be a society, it could be an economy, it could be our planet. So it's the capacity of a dynamic system to adapt successfully to challenges, and to challenges which threaten the function, the survival, or the development of the system. So somebody who is resilient adapts successfully to challenges which could be life-threatening, but he still stays calm, thinks the option through, is positive, is proactive, and goes into action. And this is what I would like to talk about. So what is resilient and how can we work on our resilience and to become stronger here? And how can we as coaches help the leaders we work with to become more resilient over time? There are a lot of good books about resilience. For example, the Harvard Business Review, the series of emotional intelligence. I think that's a very nice series to read. And there's a special edition about resilience. So if you want to dig deeper, there's a lot out there. And I give you some insights what I think resilience is and what makes a resilient leader. So I think one very important step to become resilient is to understand the world. How do we understand the world around us? So for me, resilience is based on the sources of information we use to understand the world. There are different ways to find information on what's going on. The mainstream media, which can be very panicking and chaotic sometimes. And then there's very reliable data and data sources out there, which might be maybe better to use. So there's the WHO, the World Health Organization, which gives daily updates about the pandemic if you want to understand more about the pandemic. They also show on the left side options about treatments. So who is working on treatments, which treatments are underway. There are the CDCs, the Center of Disease Controls. Every country has one. Saudi Arabia has a very strong CDC. In the Ministry of Health, there's the Ministry of Health, especially in Saudi Arabia, with a lot of information, what you can do and should do to help yourself and your loved ones. Also, World Economic Forum is a very strong website about the interaction between COVID-19 with economy and all the consequences. So strong leaders, in my perspective, really try to inform themselves about reality as far as possible. So what are the options? What are real data? What are the facts? And I base my decisions on facts, on scientific facts. Resilience is also based on understanding the facts and to act upon. WHO gives a daily update about what's going on today. And if we look at all these different countries, and we can zoom in every country every day, we see how the development goes. And if you look to Austria, Austria has a very strict lockdown now for the last 40 days, approximately. And we see now the flattening of the curve. So currently we only have 42 new cases. The government decided to open up now slowly. So every 2 weeks, we will open up a little bit more. So there's an opening now. We wait 2 weeks and see, will we have more infections or less infections? And based on what's happening, we do more opening up or we shut down a little bit more. So this is a scientific-based approach, how we can deal with the situation. Saudi Arabia is going the same approach. Saudi Arabia is a bigger country, so 30 million people. We still have, unfortunately, more cases every day, 1,700 cases today. But luckily, the death rate is much, much lower than in other countries. So Saudi Arabia is doing a very great job here. I work a little bit with Ministry of Health and SFDA, and what I see here, you really have strong leaders understanding the situation and really taking care of people in Saudi Arabia and also of Saudis outside of Saudi Arabia, that you are sheltered and safe. So leaders take information and facts to make decisions upon them. And I think this is a very important part of being resilient. Also, if we go a little bit deeper here in our elephant in the room, Resilience is based on having a vision and to create a better future based on this vision. So we can freak out, as Mr. Dilbert, or we can say, no, let's try to understand what's going on here. I mean, we have a virus infection. So what is this virus? What is this virus doing in our bodies, and how can we deal with it? And latest news is that there are about 160 or even more treatments and vaccines candidates at the moment against coronavirus. Oxford is working on a coronavirus vaccine which might be available late summer, early autumn, maybe. So they are now in the late stage clinical trials. So if you look at the science going on here, I think we can be very, very optimistic that there will be a treatment, that there will be a vaccination, and everything we see here is based on our reactions without treatment and without vaccination. As soon as we have this, the story changes, and the stronger we can interfere and going back to normal. So strong leaders really understand what's going on. Resilience is based on having a vision. We don't have to live with this. We can work out something to fight this disease and to get out better and healthier in the future. And also, on the other hand, we have a lot of these people out there who do a great, great job at the moment. These are real superheroes: physicians, nurses, scientists, people in the grocery stores, firemen, the delivery people, the people at farms. So those people who serve that we can survive, that we get stronger, we get healthy again, we can eat. These people do their job every day, out there every day. And resilience is based on finding your purpose to serve others. And I will come to this purpose and serving a little bit later in my talk, but I think this is important to understand. So resilient people are resilient because they have a purpose in what they are doing. They find a bigger sense in serving others in their life, which makes them strong. On the other hand, we have to be careful, because also these people in these jobs only have limited energy levels. So they might run out of battery. And so this is, for example, something where we as coaches can help. Saudi Arabia just started a very nice initiative. It's called NABA by Ministry of Health and the Health Leadership Academy, where a selection of coaches is coaching for free in these professions. So we coach nurses, we coach doctors who are at their limit. So they have a tough job. They meet corona patients every day. They have families. They don't know what's going on. So they risk their life for others, and they need help. And they need some assistance to get stronger. And this is where we as coaches can help to get them back in balance, to help them to refill the energy and batteries. So resilience is very much also about understanding your energy levels and to recharge your batteries in time to be ready for the next thing to come. So resilience, in my perspective, also depends very strongly on a clear sense of purpose. So we need one in order to function effectively and thrive. So now I talked a lot, and now I would like to give a little bit back. So what do you think? What are your thoughts about what I told you until now?
Okay, so Sarah says it makes a lot of sense. Nadim, clarity give resilience. If I trust things will be fine. I really hope so.
Yes, me too. What else?
Ghada, I think if you have a sense of purpose, resilience will be heightened. Salman, also clarity allows you to see things as they are, not better or worse than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Ali, it shows that we have to appreciate everything going around us and be positive.
Yes. Appreciation, being positive.
The only way forward is understanding what we are up against so we can plan our future based on learning. It's a learning opportunity. Ihab says, focus on what we have and not stress on what we don't have at the moment.
Very good. I assume there are a lot of coaches out there. So how many of our audience are coaches?
Yeah, please share with us.
Yes.
Looks like it.
Very positive people. I really love this, yes.
We already have 3 said, okay, 4 coaches, 5.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Salman, I know.
Oh, 6, okay, there's a lot.
There are a lot of coaches. I'm happy to be colleagues. Great. And you feel it from the answers. So these answers are very positive, forward-looking, focused, planning based on learning, purpose. Yes, wonderful. Appreciation, very important. Great. Okay. So if nothing else is coming, I move forward.
Yeah, they're just saying that who's a coach now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, great. Wonderful, because then I have a question you really can answer soon. So if we move now in the next phase, so how can we create our future out of this uncertainty? And what is the role of coaching? So really my question for you is, so as the sentence say, a good coach will make people see what they can be rather than what they are. So how is a good coach doing this? And as we have a bunch of good coaches out there, so what do you think? Why is coaching working? Why is coaching so important?
Okay, so Khulud says, hope and dream to create new reality.
Mm-hmm.
Nadeem, because they help give clarity.
Okay.
Salman, I don't know, it just works like magic.
Someone does not know. Hey. It works like magic. Okay.
Okay, Basma, because it's solution focused.
Solution focused. Yes.
Roa, because it works on building a vision of his own.
Mm-hmm. Building vision, yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We make dreams come true, helping people to overcome their fears. Mm-hmm. I train to teach people knowledge and skills, but a coach to help instill in. Okay. We have helped to refocus in the right direction.
Refocus, okay. Mm-hmm.
Ghada, my work relies on their ability to internalize their own thoughts and emotions.
Okay, wonderful. Good to be with colleagues. So create reality, give clarity. It works like magic, Salman. Yes, it does.
We have
Solution.
move outside the box.
Excuse me?
Move outside the box.
Move outside the box, okay. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, and it's solution focused. That's also what I would say. So coaching is solution focused and future oriented. So our job as coaches is really to help our clients to get into the future. Who would they like to be? Who will they be in the future? How can they get there? And what is their purpose in the future? So really to get them with whatever problem they come, how to get them into solution and what will be the future for you and for the people around you, the people you serve. So coaching can do a lot here, and coaching I think is one of the strongest leadership development techniques and tools, and very valuable for a lot of people out there, and also for us coaches. I also think we coaches need coaches from time to time to reorient ourselves and to find also new solutions for our problems. Our confidence in the future is only as great as our ability to visualize the future. So Our job as coaches is to co-create resilience with our clients by visualizing their future. So our job is really to create a picture of the future and to make this picture very strong, because the confidence in this future is only as great as the ability to visualize it. Part of coaching is really this visualization for yourself. So who will you be? Who will you serve? Who is around you? All these things. And I will come to this in detail a little bit later. But this is one of the reasons why coaching works like magic. And the other thing is, very important, coaching works like magic, but it is based on neurobiology. So there's a real science behind why coaching works. If we look at the blue picture on the right down, so when people are in fear, when people are anxious, so the whole energy in the brain focuses on the amygdala and on these evolutionary old parts of the brain, which are active for our survival. So fight and flight. So if we are in fear, we only think about, should I fight or should I flee? Should I run away, or is there an option? What do I need to do to survive? So the whole energy is in these deeper parts of the brain to help us to survive. Coaching, on the other hand, helps to get out of this fear zone and into creativity and interaction. So if you look at the brain on the left side and the upper side, so our job is to get this person out of the fear into creativity, into thinking, into the frontal cortex. And also not only in one part of the cortex, but in the whole part of the brain. So the left part of the brain is the more logical part of the brain, very analytical, science-based reasoning. And the right part of the brain is very creative, peace, love, all these positive feelings, these creative feelings are more on the right side of the brain. And both sides are important. Also, of course, these emotional parts are very important. And our job as a brain is really to connect these parts. And coaching co-creates resilience by activating our whole brain. So our job as a coach is to help our clients to get in the whole brain thinking. And I will go a little bit deeper soon, but this is really important. And this is also important why people need a coach, because sometimes on yourself you cannot do this. On yourself you get stuck on the left part. I'm a very scientific person. So if I want to be more creative, I need a coach for this, to help me to shift from this side to the other side. There are very creative people who might need a coach to connect a little bit more with the logical part and the science part. So to live really a full and rich life and to really live our full potential, we have to activate the whole brain. And this is what coaching is doing. This, I think, is why coaching is very strong here and helps people so much. And as Salman said, it works like magic, based on science. So what do we do as coaches here? So these are the logical levels. So coaching creates our purpose by visualizing our future, who we will be and how we can get there. So this pyramid here shows the different levels we act and live in. So there's the environment we live in, and we always have to decide when and where I'm doing what. We have behaviors we established during early childhood. So this is what we do, and this is maybe based how we do on our capabilities. When we learn, when we develop, our capabilities grow. And the more capabilities we have, we will create different behaviors. So we have now different ways to act and react to certain things. And the next step is now where coaching kicks in. So capability level is where training works. Training, learning works on the capabilities. How do you do this? Which skills do you need? What do we have to learn? In coaching, we normally go to the next level and say, okay, what do you really want to achieve? And why is this important to you? So as coaches, we work on the value level. So why is this important to you? And by understanding the values of a person, we try also to identify, okay, so who will you become? Who will you be in the future based on your values, based on what is important to you? And if you imagine yourself in the future, What do you see? What do you notice? And if you imagine yourself in the future, who's around you? So whatever you do in the future because you want to do it, because it's important to you, who will be affected? And who might be influenced by what you're doing? And by giving others, this might create your purpose of life, your bigger sense. So who else are you interacting with and influencing? What else will happen then? So coaching normally works really in these upper levels, values, identity, and purpose, to get the person we work with, the leaders we work with, in a strong imagination of what is your purpose in the future? Who will benefit from what you're doing? And then if this picture gets very strong, we go back down in the logical levels and try to understand, okay, so what do we have to do now? Maybe you have to learn something, and then you have to go back and get some resources. And how can you do it, and when and where have you to do it? And then we level up and down again. And this is what we discussed here. We connect the different levels of the brain, left brain, right brain, going down to the emotional brain and going back up again. So this is what's happening in coaching. And this is what a good coach really can help the client to work with, really to identify the purpose, which makes the desire so strong to do all the other things necessary to get there. Okay, so I talked a lot now. So question for you. What do you see here?
Let's see.
Let's see what people see. Salman, what do you see? Tell me.
All right, so personally, I see a lady that's turning to the right. So people are saying a lady profile, a woman looking away, a beautiful lady side of her face.
Okay.
Two faces.
Okay.
Old and young woman. Old lady.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Yes. Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people see a young lady looking to the right. You see a little bit small part of the nose and the eyelid, and she seems to be pretty. Some other people see a very old lady with a big nose looking downwards. You see the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Some people see both. Some people have different difficulties to see both. Some people now, after talking about it, realize, oops, yes, there's more than I have seen it. So there is the old lady and the young lady.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we as coaches do with our clients as well. So coaching co-creates resilience by understanding and changing our perspective. Because it's about awareness. What do we see? And do we really see what we see, or what is there? Or is what we see based on our assumptions and judgments? Maybe not based on realities. So do we really see what is there? And how can we learn maybe to see deeper and to see more? So coaching co-creates awareness. How do we see and what do we see? Because the important thing here is, for me, whatever influence we do, and whatever we do is what we get. So if we might away and we get nothing. If we see a young lady and we maybe a young gentleman, so we might maybe buy her flowers. I don't know what happens next, but whatever we see influences what we do, and whatever we do influences what we get. And by changing and by understanding and having the awareness, okay, is this what I see really reality? I might maybe, and by a different perspective leads to different actions. And doing something different, different actions lead to a different result. And this is what also is part of the awareness process in coaching. So do you see what you see? Also, we coaches have to learn this. So what do we see in our client? We have to learn not to be judgmental. We have to be like an empty vessel. So whatever comes, comes. We don't know yet. We cannot judge because we don't know the history and everything behind it. So we don't know if there's a young or an old lady. So we have to learn to see, because whatever we see influences what we do and what we get. And also very important, and these pictures, just for your knowledge, and because I really love it so much. This is out of the 7 Habits from Stephen Covey. It's a 30 years old book, but I think still one of the strongest books in understanding ourselves and getting stronger. And I get a little bit to the 7 Habits a little bit later, because I really did make so much sense. And this is also part of the 7 Habits. Important here is, so there's a stimulus and there's a response. We respond to a stimulus. But normally we don't see how we respond, and we don't think about how we respond. And coaching also gives the time for the clients to understand how do we act and how do we react. Are we very reactive or are we very proactive? So people not always think about the things. So there's a stimulus and there's a response. So how do we active? How we respond. Maybe I treat a certain person always the same time. Or if somebody shouts at me, what is my response? Do I shout back? Or try to understand and maybe see the fear behind the anger and then react differently? So anger causes anger, or anger causes a different response. So I think very important to understand this. There's a stimulus and there's a response. And the more we become aware about this, the more we can choose how we want to respond. So between our stimulus and response, we can separate this timely. So we have the freedom to choose. And the freedom to choose is based on 4 unique human gifts. It's about self-awareness. So I can become aware what's going on here. I can create an imagination. So if there's a stimulus, so which response from my side, which would create which future? What would happen next? And I also have a conscience. So I know if I will do this, this might be bad or this might be good. And then I can go into independent will and set an action. But it's to understand, I don't have to respond immediately. The more I give myself time to think, to be aware, imagine, the better the response might be. So, and this is Mr. Stephen Covey, and Stephen said, so I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. So I decide how I want to respond here. I decide if I clash here or I take time, what I will do. And I think resilient people really take this time to choose and make a decision. What do you think about it?
All right, so Nada says agreed.
Agreed. Thank you, Nada.
Intisar, I need time to process and I consider myself highly resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed, if there is a will, there is a way.
If there's a will, there's a way. Great.
This is my mentor, Martin, and I am all-heartedly in, it's my strategy in coaching too. Kosai, it's all about the paradigm. Mm-hmm. James, no regrets, but whatever his decision may be. Mm-hmm. Salman, I need a good coach to assist me to arrange my thoughts.
You need a coach, Salman? We find one for you, no problem. Okay, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. And also another concept which I think is tightly connected and very important to understand. So we normally deal in 2 different circles. There's the circle of concern, so all the things which concern us, bother us, make us angry or anxious, but we cannot do anything about. And there's another circle, which is the circle of influence. So the things we can really influence, which are in our control. And strong people focus on the circle of influence. So they really think about, in all this pandemic, what's happening now. So what is in my circle of influence? What can I influence? What can I do? How can I explain this to my kids? How can I take care of my family? How can I develop myself now in this time of uncertainty to be ready for the steps afterwards? And of course, if my circle of concern is so strong, okay, I could become a physician. I could study medicine, and then the next pandemic, I will be a doctor. So I could expand my circle of influence by taking control of what is bothering me. Strong people are doing this. Strong leaders are doing this. So if this is really something important to me, I create my vision and my circle of influence will go in this way. So I can steer my circle of influence, but strong people always focus on what they can influence and not on things they cannot influence. And resilience is also becoming aware about my effectiveness. And I want to just give you a short overview about the 7 habits of highly effective people, because I think for me, it's one of the smartest systems I've seen, and it's very simple, but it makes so much sense. So successful people, strong leaders, they have 7 habits in general, which makes them strong. And habit number 1 is they are proactive. So they are based on a few principles. They understand I have to take responsibility, but I have a choice. I can choose action, stimulus and response. I can choose how I want to react. I'm accountable. I'm not a victim. If I do something, I'm accountable. But I can take initiative, and I have the resources I need, or I will get the resources I need to get what I want. And to get what I want is strong people create a vision, a mission statement for themselves and a vision. So who do I want to be in the future? So they begin with the end in mind. Because if I understand who I want to be, and this is what we in coaching do, we create this vision of the future. We create a purpose, and out of this purpose, we create commitment. This is what I really want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. So strong people begin with the end in mind, means I have a vision, and now based on this vision, what I have to do now step by step to get there. And this is habit number 3, put first things first. So what do I need to do to achieve and to reach my vision? So what do I need to do from here to here? Because if I know where I want to go, I can say no to things which go in the wrong direction. So if somebody asks me to go there, I can say no, that's not what I want to do. I need to go there. There's my purpose. So strong people get attracted by their vision and their purpose, and then they can really plan their daily life. How can I get there? And what is distracting me? I don't do the things distracting me. So I plan, which is important. What of the important things get me there where I want to go? And the things which are not important, I don't do, because that's not me. Me is here. So this is what strong people do. By being proactive, have an end in mind, and put first things first. This is a strong step to getting out of dependent from others, being a victim, into a very independent person. This is a very, very strong circle here. So habit 3 is about focus, integrity, and prioritization. And then we realize when we have a vision, we need other people. We cannot really achieve everything on our own. So we have to work with other people. And this is our ethics system. Strong people think win-win. So when I want to get there, I need people. But they also should win on this way, not only me. So we both achieve our purpose by achieving. So it's about mutual benefit. It's about fairness in the interaction. It's also about the knowledge. There's enough out there. So for example, we coaches, we don't have to fight for clients. 7 billion people on this earth, everyone needs a coach. Even a coach needs a coach. So there's plenty to do for us out there and plenty of options to serve. Habit number 5 is then, if I'm thinking win-win, so how do I do this? And this means seek first to understand, then to be understood. So what do I need to do to understand you? What do you really mean? So it's about respect, mutual understanding, empathy, and then the courage to say what I want to say in a respectful way. Strong people do this. They try to understand first the other, and then respectfully say what they want to say. And if we do these things, if we become a strong, independent person, we think we win, we know how to communicate, we can create synergy. And synergy is really about creativity, cooperation, the value in diversity, and being humble. Synergy means if we work together and we respect each other, we can create more together. Also in the coaching process, normally good coaching sessions are very synergetic. So the client gets much more out of the session than expected because you're really leveling up and down and getting into thinking. And strong people, on the other hand, they also recharge themselves. They try to get in balance and they continue to improve themselves. What you're doing here, it's about continuous improvement, working on yourself. So I really love this. I really believe in this. For me, this made a lot of sense. And I think this is what coaching is doing and helps people. Coaching co-creates awareness by connecting doing with being. So these habits here connected with values, why I'm doing what I'm doing, who will I become when I do the things I want to do, what is my vision, what do I want to achieve, and whom else do I serve, what is the purpose here. This is what coaching is doing, and this is why coaching is really forming strong, creative, resilient leaders. And this is the magic Salman was talking about. And this is a wonderful profession because we really can serve here a lot and help here a lot. So the purpose of life is a life of purpose because we work on the purpose level with our coaches. What do you think about this? Give me some thoughts, some questions, some feedback before we move in the last part of our session today.
All right, so let's see.
Let's see.
So please feel free to share your thoughts in the chat box. All right, so we have Wafa, living randomly is chaotic. I agree, our lives are worthless without a purpose.
Okay.
Nada, it's a side thought. I'm thinking of the song Life is Life.
That's an Austrian band, Opus.
Okay, Intisar, purpose gives you motivation. Ali, I believe I never had one.
Okay. You're young, we can work on this.
Chris, true, the purpose of life is to live, and having purpose provides an incredible reason to live.
Mm-hmm.
Wafa, purpose makes you happy. Donald, broadly speaking, purpose of life is co-creating our reality and learning to have fun.
Hello, Donald. Happy to hear from you. Thank you. He's from Jeddah, South African in Jeddah. Wonderful.
Sarah, the minute purpose is clear, all gets aligned to fulfill it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, Manal, purpose gives you the meaning of life. Ahmed, the purpose equals meaning, so we get to live a meaningful life.
Okay, thank you very much. Sounds good. So I think we are aligned here. So we believe purpose gives purpose. And we as coaches, we try really, I mean, we cannot create it for our clients. We create it or co-create it with our clients by helping him to see his future and by helping him to understand whom will you influence by doing what you will do, who will be affected, and how will this benefit these stakeholders and other stakeholders and whom else. By thinking in this higher spheres, you create your purpose. And coaching session, good coaching session normally gets the client there and creates a strong driving force then to do what you need to do to get there. And now in the last part of my presentation today, I want to talk about some people who found their purpose in life and based on their purpose, who gave a lot to society and to other people and to influence the world. And these are just a few examples, but to inspire you to think about, okay, so if this is possible, what else is possible? If this is possible, what could be my future? Which vision do I have to create for my future? Which leader do I want to be? Who may I lead? Do I really want to be a leader in an organization? Or I'm a leader for some people? I'm a role model for other people. I'm a leader for myself. So first I have to lead myself before I can lead others. So what do I need to do? Who do I want to be? And so for the final part of our conversation, I just want to give you some inspirational personalities who achieved a lot, like Mahatma Gandhi. So the future depends on what we do in the present. Very right. So whatever we will do in the future depends on what we do now, what we create now, and what we really believe in we can achieve. And as he said, so be the change you want to see in the world. So future depends on change. We have to create something. We see a lot of things we are not happy with. But this is our circle of concern. What is our circle of influence? This is us. So we can change ourselves, so then we can change other things. So we only can focus on what we can change. So be the change you want to see in the world. Another great personality, Mohammed Yunus. I had the honor to work a little bit with him before I came to Saudi Arabia. So he was the founder of the Grameen Bank. He invented the microcredit system, and he's now working heavily on social businesses. So his major idea was at the beginning, there is no reason for poverty in this world. Poverty does not belong in a civilized human society. There's no reason that people suffer in the poor and have nothing to eat. So his dream and his vision is, if I want to show my kids what poverty is, we go into a museum, because it's a matter of the past. So this was the big vision of Mohammed. He started his microcredit system. He gave microcredits, $5, $10, mainly to poor ladies in Bangladesh, who started out of this a small business to help their families to survive. And with this business, they paid this money back, but without interest. And they could develop and develop. So he broke this profit-oriented, interest-oriented banking system, and he brought a lot of people out of poverty. And then he created a system which is called social business. So social business, the idea was, okay, so there are a lot of problems out there, and every problem leads to a solution. So what could be solution for a lot of problems? He worked, for example, with the boss of Danone, and Danone want to give them $1 million and say, okay, take $1 million, I pledge this to you. And Mohammed said, no, let's work together. We have a problem in Bangladesh that our kids don't get enough food, and the food has not all the vitamins we need. So let's do a factory which creates yogurt with all the vitamins and ingredients needed that the kid can survive. And we only make this factory with all the resources we have in the environment. And that's the requirement, we sell the yogurt so cheap that everybody can afford it. So don't give me $1 million to donate. Let's make a business that everybody can survive and get something out of it. So that's the idea of social business. As he's saying here, people should wake up in the morning and say, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. So how can we get our mindsets there? And as he said also, if you're not achieving something, it is because we don't have our minds into it. We create what we want. So also again, strong leaders create the vision and the purpose in the future. And based on this, they create reality and help people in the right direction. I think he's really a great model here, role model. Stephen Covey, also a strong person in leadership development. I think this sentence is very important. Leadership is a choice. It's not a position. It's not the title CEO. It's not the title VP or whatever. It's the decision to be a leader. And it's the decision to take into account, what does it mean to be a leader? What is connected with being a leader? And I really like this quote from Stephen: leadership is communicating to people their worth and their potential so clearly that they come to see it in themselves. So my job as a leader is to lift my people, my team I'm working with, to make them stronger and to help them to see what is within them, to really inspire them by a shared vision and show them how capable they are to achieve together. This is what strong leaders do. And in preparation for tomorrow, so tomorrow Marshall will speak. Tomorrow we will see Marshall with a big white beard. He looks a little bit older than on this picture. Also, successful people become great leaders when they learn to shift the focus from themselves to others. It's not about me, me, me. It's about how can I serve others? How can I help others? Normally, the purpose in life is how can we help others to get stronger and to survive, and to thrive. And also a very important quote from Marshall, I think it's very connected to what we talk about today, is, so there is no comfort in the change zone, but there is no change in the comfort zone. So the question is, and you might maybe answer this, how important is discomfort, crisis times, uncertainty, to get into change and to get innovative and to develop things we would not develop if everything is easy? So how important is crisis and uncertainty for future development? A few thoughts, please.
Okay, so Salman says critically important.
Very creative, Salman. A little bit more.
Okay, not important enough to move forward and grow.
Okay.
It helps you move out of your comfort zone and look for new ways, which makes you well prepared for life.
Okay, great.
Eye-opener to opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It's about balance.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So a few more slides. And with the next slide, I want also to move to another leader, a very inspiring one, and I think a very strong one, and you all know of him. So King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. I mean, Vision 2030. So your country is at the moment exactly living this. You created a vision for the year 2030, 10 years from now. And the primary goal is to be an exemplary and leading nation in all aspects. And your king and your crown prince will work with you, so with all Saudi people, to achieve this endeavor. So it's not about me, it's about us. How can we create together? And also a quote from Mohammed bin Salman. So together we will continue building a better country, fulfilling our dream of prosperity and unlocking the talent, potential, and dedication of our young men and women. So it's about you, young Saudi men and women, your talent, your potential. What can you contribute here to be part of this, I think, really, really ambitious and exciting Vision 2030? Just if you look at NEOM, this city of the future, I mean, this will be the most modern city in the world. On the Red Sea coast, towards Jordan, this will be an exciting project. If you have seen the plans, if you look at it, wow, this is really something. So your country is going in a very, very interesting journey. And this vision is also very well structured. So you will become a vibrant society with a thriving economy, an ambitious nation. Of course, what's happening at the moment is affecting the whole world. But Saudi Arabia is one of the richest countries in this whole world. And I think you will get out of this pandemic very, very strong. And with the whole planning from the Council of Ministers, CEDA, down to the Strategy Committee, the SMO, and then the visualization programs, down to the VROs, and down to the individual people who take part in this. So I think Vision 2030 is really an exciting vision for Saudi Arabia, which can give a lot of people living in this country purpose, direction, and a future. And my question for you, is for my Saudi friends, are, where do you see yourself next? More than 20 ministries, new ministries are coming up. So there's now the Ministry of Industry Minerals, there's now the Ministry of Investment, there's the Ministry of Tourism. So new entities are coming up looking for strong, smart, young people. So what is your role in the future of your country? Whom can you serve in this country to make Vision 2030 a reality? With this, I'm going to the close of our journey for today. So we created 90 minutes together from the now to the future. So what is your role to create your future? Whom can you serve in your future? It's about uncertainty, but maybe this is the uncertainty we need to get out of our comfort zone, to get into action and change. So how can we use this uncertainty to get into resilience? Maybe we need a coach to do this. Maybe we can do it on our own. Being resilient, maybe we could become a strong leader with a strong purpose. So it's about our identity. Who do we want to be to serve humanity? It's about your future. What is your part here? Whom can you serve? So as a closing question from my side, so what can you give to create a better future?
Okay, Haila says, I can serve every student and employee and citizen to maximize their potential to execute the mission of Saudi.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a deep question. You don't have to answer it maybe immediately, but think about it for yourself. Mm-hmm. What is your contribution for your country? What will be your future? How can you serve? So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your contribution. I hope this made a little sense for you. We have another 20 minutes for your questions, if you have any, or for more interaction. Unfortunately, I cannot hear you, but luckily we have Haya in between who communicates and translates.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you so much.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much for your time and wonderful and inspiring talk. Before we start with answering the questions, we will be launching a poll. It will not take more than a minute, and we would highly appreciate if everyone participates in filling it. And then we're going to move to the questions. All right, so we have a couple of questions over here. So the first question is, how will you know that what you see is the right perspective?
I think we have to ask questions to find out what is it what we see. Don't rely on the first impression. Dig deeper and find out and be curious. What do you want to know about what you see? I mean, it depends if it's a person, if it's something else. Get information. But I would not always rely on the first impression, because sometimes there's maybe more behind.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Okay, we have another question that says, what are the tools that can help you being proactive?
What tools to be proactive? I mean, being proactive means you take responsibility. So you understand I am not a victim. So I understand my circle of influence and try to act in my circle of influence. So what is it I can have impact on? And it's about understanding I have a choice. So between stimulus and response, I can choose to take some time to think about. I don't have to react immediately. I can take time to think, to explore, and then to react. And it's also to be aware I have the resources I need, or I have to find more resources I need. So be proactive means I'm not a victim. I'm taking control of my life.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We have a question from Sarah. She says, what is the difference between visualization of self and self-actualization?
Maybe one comes after the other. So visualization is really to find a picture of yourself in the future. And this will self-actualize maybe yourself as a next step. So I think they are connected. And of course, it's also about, there are many options. There is not only one way you could be in the future. There are different options, and maybe you have to find out which is the better one. Coaching is also a process maybe to decide between different options and to find out which is maybe smarter for me. So more specific, more measurable, more achievable, more realistic. And I can do it in a time frame. So we can dream a lot, but whatever we want to dream about it has to be based on some reality and on our resources. And of course, I cannot be a neurosurgeon tomorrow because I don't have the knowledge and the skills. But if I really want to become a neurosurgeon because maybe my son or somebody in my family has a tumor and I want to help, so the purpose and the reason is so strong, maybe I study medicine and maybe I become a neurosurgeon and maybe I can do it. So if the picture of the future gets so strong and the reasoning is so strong for me personally, I might acquire all the skills I need to shift my circle of influence to do this.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Okay, so another question is, if I'm a coach, do I need a coach or a mentor? And what can be the difference of both?
I advise every coach to have a coach on his journey. Of course, you do sometimes coaching sessions or you do supervision sessions, but as a coach, you sometimes also come to your limits. Sometimes you have a client, you don't know how to handle it. Sometimes maybe the client is between a coaching client and maybe somebody you should refer to a psychologist or psychiatrist. And so it's good to have somebody to discuss issues, of course on a confidential level, but who understands the life of a coach, the problems of a coach, and to exchange. So all coaches should have coaches, all coaches should be coached from time to time, because to get into the whole brain thinking, it's very difficult to do this on your own.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Welcome.
And another question would be, what if the future does not seem good at all? What can I do to change it?
So it's perspective. So how do you see the future? Do you see the old lady or do you see the young lady? Future is not there yet. So future doesn't exist yet. We create it. And we have to find ways to create a future where we can contribute and take part in the way we want to contribute. So where can we find our purpose? I mean, like Marilyn said a few days ago, so the purpose of life is happiness. And I would agree with this, but I would agree this happiness should be based on purpose. So a coach is here to help you to find a future which gives you purpose, which attracts you so much that you want to go into this future. So you create the future you want. It is not always easy, of course. I mean, that's like this. And we are in the middle of a pandemic and we have to accept the facts. But still, based on these facts and based on our resources and based on what is important to us, we can create a future for us. which will be better if we work on it. And sometimes you need help, and sometimes you can do it on your own.
Brilliant. We have another question that says, I know someone who really needs coaching, but I can't seem to convince her. What do I do?
And normally, the client finds the coach. When a person is stuck and he's looking for solutions, normally they find coaches. So I would not push a client to get a coach, but when they are ready and they understand, I would explain the strength of coaching and the role of coaching and the magic of coaching, and then give them time. Because when a client is ready, normally they come to a coach. If they really want to achieve something, they are looking for ways to achieve it. And coaching is, for people, a part of this way, I would say.
Mm-hmm. All right, so another question is, what is the biggest motive that keeps you going?
The biggest?
Motive,
which keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do. I really love coaching. I was a scientist and I loved science. And as a scientist, I was working in cancer research and I really loved what I'm doing. But things changed over life, and then I had to do jobs to survive or to feed my family, which were outside of science, because you need to earn money. And now, after this science journey and this interim phase, I found my second passion, which is coaching. I really love what I do, and I really love to coach people, helping them and co-creating with them their purpose in life and helping them on their way into their future. I think it's a wonderful profession, and if you see the success and you see how people develop, this is a strong motivator. And of course, my other strong motivator is my family and my kids, to be a kind of a role model for them, to show them everything is possible. Of course, based on your abilities and some basic requirements, but a lot is possible. And if you really want to, and you work hard and you get help, you can achieve a lot.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We have another question from Sarah. She says, as a coach, how do you make clients understand that we are not there to give answers?
If you go through a coaching process, they will see it's not necessary to give answers. Because how does the client know? You can ask him that my answer is now the right answer for you. How should I know more about your life than you do? So, but by understanding that everything is in the client has the resources, and the client will change, and we activate these resources by asking the right questions and by getting the client into the vision of his future, working on his values and working on his purpose. The client will find out it's not necessary to give answers. It's much, much stronger only to ask questions. And clients see this and they appreciate this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And Nada is asking, are there meanings behind each result of the drawing?
Excuse me?
Are there meanings behind each result of the drawing? I think she means the old lady and the young lady drawing.
No, not for me. I think it's just a nice picture. There are a lot of these double pictures. The meaning is, I mean, what do we see? I mean, there's also a nice picture of, I think it was, I forgot the painter, but it's a pipe. So there's a picture of a pipe. Below the pipe, there's underwriting, this is not a pipe. So the thing is, we really have to understand, what do we see? We see a picture of a pipe. We saw a picture of a young lady in the same picture of an old lady. So this is what we see. So what is reality? Because perception for a lot of people is reality. So what we see and what we think we see and how we judge the world is how we think the world is. And the meaning of this picture for me is to understand, look, we don't really know what's there. We see a drawing with an old and young lady. This is what we see.
Mm-hmm.
But to understand this, take away the judgment. Really, what is it what you see? Understand the way we take up information. And to also hear stimulus and response. Pause in between. Don't be so quickly to judge and to think you understand what's going on, and you understand what you're seeing. Take time and look deeper.
All right, perfect. So Al-Batul asks, would you say our personal purpose in life is something we get to create, or is it something that is a priority that we should seek and find?
Maybe this goes hand in hand. Seeking, finding, creating. I would not differentiate it and separate it. We are on a journey. And of course, also depending on our age, different things are important for you. I mean, in my 20s, I was a cancer researcher, and I'm now in my late 40s, and now I'm a coach. So life changes. It's a journey and a development. And you always have to find out for yourself, what is it what you want? What is it what you can achieve? Of course, there are necessities you have to fulfill. You have families to feed, and you have other things to satisfy. But it's always good to step back and think, what is it really what I want? What I'm seeking? Why I'm seeking? So what I'm looking for? And based on what I'm looking for, how can I really create my future and get into the right direction? Maybe you need help. Maybe you can do it on your own. But thinking and searching and asking questions might be helpful on this journey.
Brilliant. Julie is asking, can you show the slide with a definition of resilience, please?
Let's go back. Resilience. Here. So I like this definition very much. So the resilience is the capacity of a dynamic system to adapt successfully to challenges that threaten the function, survival, or future development of the system. So it's the capacity to adapt successfully of a dynamic system. The dynamic system could be a human being, but it could also be our planet Earth. So what's the resilience of our planet Earth, or of a society, of an economy?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And Salman is asking, what are your personal takeaways from these times?
My personal takeaway, as you said, Salman, coaching is doing magic. Also that I have friends out there who join me for these late hours and who like to be with me. Thank you for this. I really appreciate for everybody being with me. And I really hope this gave a little bit back what you expected, because it's also uncertainty. I don't know who is there. I don't know what you really expect. You don't know me. So we took a journey together, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much being with you, getting your answers and your questions, and being with some friends and other coaches.
We're so delighted to have you with us, Dr. Martin.
Anytime.
Another question was, what are your ideas of what we can give to humanity and our country if we are young and might not have experience to contribute?
Find your way. I mean, Saudi Arabia is really a thriving country. I mean, there are leaders out there who are in the early 30s. So I coach some leaders in different organizations who are 30, 33, 30. I mean, you look at your crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, he's 34. So young is not an excuse to be a strong leader. So, but work on yourself. So work on yourself, create your future vision. Who do you want to be? What do you think you can contribute? And this, what you contribute, depends on your value system. So what is important to you personally? Every person is different. So what is important to you? And based on this values for yourself, what do you think you can contribute? what would you like to do? And whom could you serve? And if this picture is very clear, then maybe you can go back and say, okay, what do I need? So what do I maybe have to study, have to learn to achieve this goal? So is it an MBA? Is it maybe being a physician, a doctor? I don't know. Depending on what is important to you, create your future, learn what you have to learn, work hard on yourself, get help from a coach, from mentors, from other leaders, and work to get where you want to be.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think we have time for a question or two.
5 more minutes.
Mm-hmm. So one of the questions are, what is a golden advice you can give?
I don't give golden advices. I can coach you if you want. First coaching session for free.
Oh, I'll take that. All right. So another question would be, with all the changes that are happening and so little you can move with, how can you really visualize the future?
How can you visualize the future? I said, I mean, if you can do it for your own, it's good to do it. I mean, you can read, you can watch TVs, you can read books about the future, or you work with a coach to create the future for yourself. So what you want to work on. So if you have difficulties for yourself to create your future in your mind, maybe it's good to do it with somebody. There's a lot of interesting literature out there, how to create a future. I mean, there are science fiction movies to get glimpses of the future. I mean, there are good ones and bad ones. So it's a matter of choice. But if you deal with future, and if you look, for example, Vision 2030, I mean, look what happened. I'm here in this country for 8 years, since 2012. And if you look what happened in the last 2 years, I mean, it's unbelievable. Especially from a person coming from a different culture and society. I mean, this women empowerment, which has happened in the last few years, that's a great, great advantage. You have so many young leaders in this country. The vision is so inspiring and so forward-looking. And when you see what is planned here, where you can get as a rich young nation, I mean, this is, for me, that's a wow future. Vision 2030 is really an exciting project and will be an exciting future. And you can be part of this. And if you look at Qiddiya, Red Sea Project, Al-Ula, NEOM, only the financial district, I mean, it takes time. Metro is coming now. Things are taking sometimes a little bit longer than expected. But if you look what's happening in this country and which options are here for young people, guided by a young crown prince, wow, so I think the future is bright. And if you want to spend your future in a different country, every country has a future. I mean, if you want to go to Australia, to America, to UK, I don't know what your plans are, but you can work on your future wherever you are, wherever you want to go. It's a good idea to visualize it, to think about it. What will be the consequences of what I'm doing? And of course, if you need help here, that's the job of a coach, to help you to create and visualize what might be possible.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Martin, and thank you everyone for attending. And this was a very brilliant and inspiring talk. Thank you. I'm so happy to be part of this.
Me too.
I really enjoyed this.
Out there for using your time in Ramadan to be with me, to spend your valuable time with me.
Our pleasure.
Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure to have you with us, and thank you everyone for your time, and we hope to see you tomorrow.